in this episode, I want to address Trump's claim that he can do away, that he can eliminate attacking, migrants once more, that he can do away with the birth citizenship right, the constitutional right that says that if you're born in U.S. soil, automatically you become a U.S. citizen. That has been the law of the land. That's the constitutional right that you're granted, the 14th Amendment, Section 1. Trump says that he can do away with it. He just needs one signature, one executive order, and bam, he's going to be done with that, okay? Why is he doing this? First of all, why is Trump claiming this? So he needs a boogeyman because, as long as we're talking about migrants and, we're going to take away the citizenship and everybody's going crazy because, that's a constitutional right, this whole debate ensues, right, that follows. We're not talking as much about all the shit show that he got going on in the Trump world. So, number two, he, I guess he wants to be bolder than Ron DeSantis. You guys have seen it. I just saw a poll, some news item saying that DeSantis just went up like 8 or 10 points since he announced that he's running for, for the primary. Supposedly he went up like 8 or 10 points. So DeSantis all of a sudden is gaining some momentum. Even though I'm going to be honest, I don't believe DeSantis can beat Trump. I think DeSantis has been a chicken shit. He hasn't been able to stand up to Trump, shows that he has the guts. He hasn't, grown a spine. He doesn't have the balls. He's been a chicken shit for too long. Now he's going to pretend like he has the character, like he's strong, when all along he's been literally echoing. Nikki Haley said it. Nikki Haley launched this ad saying that Trump is literally an echo of, that DeSantis is an echo of Trump and that we don't need, the country needs alternatives, an option, not an echo of Donald Trump.
He was totally different. Whatever I want, he wants now. You're fired. You're fired.
Then Mr. Trump said, "You're fired." I love that part.
Make America great again.
Make America great again.
Instead, calling the Russian invasion a territorial dispute. Even some Republicans on the Hill with tough words for DeSantis.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing.
Anybody here would do it. Judges are a priority.
And honestly, we have businesses that have been locked down and lives destroyed for over a year.
So here is an...
And she's right. The party, they have to let him go. And DeSantis is literally kind of like a copycat. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into that, but Trump is trying to be bolder. He wants to be even more radical than DeSantis was. You guys know that DeSantis just launched this, he just signed this anti-immigration law that a lot of people are saying, there's many folks out there saying that this is probably the worst, anti-immigration law in the country probably ever. So DeSantis launched that literally 2 weeks ago. And like a week later, then he's announcing his, his bid to become president. Like he wants to run for the United States presidency. So I don't think it was a coincidence. He planned that. He launched the law. He created this whole shit show. He pretty much had the whole media going crazy. Everybody talking. Now DeSantis is, such a bad ogre monster, right? Which a lot of people in the right, they love. They love a candidate that's going to be mean towards these people because these people are the enemy. These minorities, these people are criminals. They're drug dealers, they're criminals, they're rapists, right? So you want a strong person that shows no mercy. Unfortunately, that's what we see with this MAGA whole, movement. So Trump is trying to pretty much outsmart DeSantis, saying, oh, he got that, popular anti-immigration law, popular among the right people and the far right and the MAGA movement. But hey, look at what I got. I got this executive order, commitment, and promise on day one. On day one, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be wonderful. So this is all about the primaries, guys. It comes down to him trying to beat DeSantis. And DeSantis actually came out with a strong hand, even though, his launch on Twitter was like a complete failure. Even though he's weak, even though he has a disaster going on in Florida, and I'm not getting into that right now. But he came out with a strong hand. That law actually positioned him as a very radical, strong leader who really wants to just crack down on immigration. even though that's no immigration reform at all, not even close. It doesn't really deal with the issues, but that's a topic for another podcast. Okay, so let's listen to the clip. I want you to listen to what Trump said, and actually after the clip, we're gonna come back because there's more clips, and I have very good clip from 2018, and then I have another one from an actual scholar of professional when it comes to the legal field that's gonna talk to you, or actually is gonna present the 14th Amendment and some history and why it's important, and even some legal cases that were settled already considering the 14th Amendment. So it's gonna be very interesting. So let's listen to Trump first, what he just said like a day ago, and we'll take it from there. Check it out.
Joe Biden has launched an illegal foreign invasion of our country, allowing a record number of illegal aliens to storm across our borders. From all over the world they came. Under Biden's current policies, even though these millions of illegal border crossers have entered the country unlawfully, all of their future children will become automatic U.S. citizens. Can you imagine? They'll be eligible for welfare, taxpayer-funded health care, the right to vote, chain migration, and countless other government benefits, many of which will also profit the illegal alien parents. This policy is a reward for breaking the laws of the United States and is obviously a magnet helping draw the flood of illegals across our borders. They come by the millions and millions and millions. They come from mental institutions. They come from jails, prisoners, some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever see. The United States is among the only countries in the world that says that even if neither parent is a citizen nor even lawfully in the country, their future children are automatic citizens the moment the parents trespass onto our soil. As has been laid out by many scholars, this current policy is based on a historical myth and a willful misinterpretation of the law by the open borders advocates. There aren't that many of them around. It's amazing. Who wants this? Who wants to have prisoners coming into our country? Who wants to have people who are very sick coming into our country? People from mental institutions coming into our country? And come they will. They're coming by the thousands, by the tens of thousands. As part of my plan to secure the border on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. My policy will choke off a major incentive for continued illegal immigration, deter more migrants from coming, and encourage many of the aliens Joe Biden has unlawfully let into our country to go back to their home countries. They must go back. Nobody could afford this. Nobody could do this. And even morally, it's so wrong. My order will also end their unfair practice known as birth tourism, where hundreds of thousands of people from all over the planet squat in hotels for their last few weeks of pregnancy to illegitimately and illegally obtain U.S. citizenship for the child, often to later exploit chain migration to jump the line and get green cards for themselves and their family members. It's a practice that's so horrible and so egregious, but we let it go forward. At least one parent will have to be a citizen or a legal resident in order to qualify. We will secure our borders and we will restore our sovereignty starting on day one. Our country will be great again. Our country will be a country again. We'll have borders. We'll have proper education, and we'll put America first. Thank you.
So that was the video, guys. But now I want to play another clip for you because in 2018, he did the same thing. So he's playing you guys, Republicans, for a fool because he promised the same thing in 2018, 1 week. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. 1 week ahead of the midterms. He came out. He went to the media. He did a whole interview to talk about this on like CNN. Let me play the clip, but pay attention, guys, because he is playing you, especially you guys, Republicans, for fools. He believes that you guys have such short memory that you're not gonna even remember that he already like presented this shiny little thing object for you guys to fall for it, and he's doing it again. But anyway, let me play that clip for you and we'll be right back with some follow-up. I have another really good video following up this one. So check this out and we'll be back.
Some legal scholars believe you can get rid of birthright citizenship without changing the Constitution.
With an executive order.
Exactly.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment.
Right.
Guess
14th
what?
Amendment.
You don't.
You don't.
Number one, you don't need that. Number two,
I mean, that's in dispute.
You could definitely
That's very much in dispute.
Well, you can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order. Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with counsel?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's exactly
very
what I was
interesting.
talking about.
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one.
So you saw the video. He promised that he was going to do it back in 2018. He didn't do it. Why didn't he do it? If he had the power and he promised that he would do it, why didn't he do it? If that was such a bad thing that he needed to save the country, he was going to do this to actually stop illegal immigration. Why didn't he do it back then? So he said it was a priority, but he didn't do it. And that now all of a sudden it's this major priority. Now he thinks it's needed. So it wasn't needed 6 years ago when he was saying that he was going to do it. That doesn't even make sense. But I believe he didn't do it because he knew counsel told him that was not going to fly. It didn't stand a chance in court. It was going to be overruled, overturned, completely rejected. And he was going to make a fool out of himself. I think that's what happened. Maybe counsel told him, the White House people told him, we're not going to do this. You shouldn't do it because you could make a fool out of yourself. So now I want to play for you another clip, which is actually from a scholar, a legal scholar, explaining the 14th Amendment, the history behind that, connected to the 13th Amendment, what went down, and a little bit of legal history and why this has been settled for over 100 years. So let's play that clip and we'll come back with some final comments.
Today we're going to talk about the 14th Amendment. Let's begin with the text. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That's the Citizenship Clause. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. That's the Privileges or Immunities Clause. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That's the Due Process Clause. Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. That's the Equal Protection Laws. Well, where did this language come from? Let's tell the story of the 14th Amendment. And it's such an important and interesting story. It follows from the backlash against the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which banned slavery in the U.S. And after the 13th Amendment passed, Southern states tried to reintroduce slavery by other means, by passing a series of laws called the Black Codes. And these codes denied the newly freed African Americans the right to sue and be sued, to make contracts, to inherit property, and basically to exercise the basic civil rights of citizenship to which they were entitled. Congress responds by passing the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which says that all people in the United States are entitled to the same civil rights, to make and enforce contracts, to sue and be sued, all the rights that the Black Codes had denied. The thing was that Congress wasn't sure it had the constitutional authority to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And therefore, Reconstruction Republicans, led by John Bingham, thought that the 14th Amendment was necessary to make clear that Congress had the power to enforce the provisions of the amendment by appropriate legislation, and also to guarantee the equal civil rights or privileges or immunities of citizenship. So at the core, the 14th Amendment is designed to constitutionalize the rights in the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Then the first sentence of the amendment overturned the part of the Dred Scott case that said that Black people couldn't be citizens and had no rights that white people were bound to respect. But then the question is, who's entitled to birthright citizenship? And the first test case was called Wong Kim Ark, and it was decided in 1898. Wong Kim Ark was born in San Francisco to parents who were both Chinese citizens who resided in the US at the time he was born. And at the age of 21, he returned to China to visit his parents, who'd previously lived in the US for 20 years. And when he came back to the US, Wong Kim Ark is denied entry on the grounds that he's not a citizen. Under the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was in force at the time, no Chinese subject could become a citizen. He objected. He said he was born in the US and therefore was entitled to citizenship, and the court agreed. Because Wong was born in the United States and his parents were not employed in any diplomatic or official capacity under the Emperor of China, the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment automatically made him a US citizen. Justice Horace Gray wrote the opinion on behalf of the 6-2 majority. And the court concluded that under the 14th Amendment, it didn't matter who your parents were. It mattered where you were born. And if you were born on American soil, you were automatically a US citizen. The exceptions were Native Americans and diplomats who were not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States.
So one thing to take away, guys, from this video is the fact that history tends to repeat itself. And now we have Trump trying to take away the rights of these people. The same way we saw in this video, people trying to take away the rights from the blacks back then. And, you know, that's why we have a constitution. We're all the same under the Constitution. We're all supposed to be treated equally. You cannot have now second-class citizens or even people that you want to take away, strip them, you know, of their constitutional rights. You can't just do that. So that's why maybe he didn't do it back in 2018. One crazy thing that comes to mind, guys, is the fact that Trump may be betting on the Supreme Court. I'm gonna sign it. It's gonna be challenged. I'll keep appealing until we make it to the Supreme Court. And once I make it to the Supreme Court, voila, bam, I won. Because I have my friends. I have my, you know, my friends there that they're going to take care of me. They have my back. That may be one crazy idea, but I believe that it's highly unlikely. And I think he's never going to do it. That's why maybe he didn't do it back in 2018. That's why he may not do it now in 2024, 2025. Actually, he would, if he wins in 2024, he would come to power in 2025. So on day one, 2025, that would be the moment where he would sign that order. It would be challenged. It will make it to the Supreme Court. So I think it's highly unlikely that he'll even do it then. So he may never do so. But one funny thing that came to mind the other day when I heard him, like yesterday, was like, do they have pens in prison? Because he may have to sign the executive order from within prison, because he may be already in jail by that time if things keep going like they're going with especially with the Mar-a-Lago case, or who knows, the election interference, the insurrection case. He may actually have to do some jail time, and I believe he will do some jail time, even though a bunch of people tell me no, he's never gonna do jail time. He doesn't, nothing ever happens. They're not gonna hold him accountable. That doesn't seem to be the case. Trump is facing, great accountability these days. We're seeing it with Alvin Bragg in New York. We're seeing it with Letitia James. We're seeing it with Fannie Willis in Georgia. And the Mar-a-Lago case is not looking good. The tax fraud case and the Trump Organization and his personal case, those are not looking good. So I don't think that he's going to be able to sign from within jail. So anyway, all I want to say is that if you're rooting for Donald Trump to sign this executive order so you can, attack the migrants, so that you can strip them of their constitutional rights, first of all, you wouldn't be American, because that would be highly un-American. If you are a real patriot, you are all for the Constitution. You're supposed to be. So if you're not for the 14th Amendment, then you're not a real patriot. So that's that. But if you're rooting for Donald Trump to actually do this because you want to celebrate, just don't hold your breath.